Hi, my name's James Pikeway, and welcome to the James Casts. You might be watching us, you might be listening to us, however it is that you are engaging with us here, sharing, liking, commenting, welcome, and I absolutely appreciate you taking the time to be part of the James Casts. One of the things that I love doing on this channel is sharing some of the old radio shows that I did. Over 12 years I was the host of Nightline on Dubai Eye in Dubai, and I had some amazing conversations, whether those be about DIY or car repair or medicine or tech or call-ins. We did call-ins where we posted a question and got people to give us their opinions in the Middle East. It was pretty special. Well, I want to share one of those episodes with you now. It was a call-in show that we did in 2015, so that's about 10 years ago now. And the topic of that call-in show was language. And how are you preserving your language? Do you speak multiple languages? Do you make an effort to learn new languages? That was the call-in question. And the answers that I got 10 years ago are as important and as germane today as they were back then. So I want to share this Nightline call-in with you. Enjoy, and I'd love to hear what your comments are. Good evening, my name's James Pikeway. Great to have you with us once again, and it is that time of the week where we open up the phone lines and we like to pick your brain a little bit on a topic. Where are we going this evening? Let me tell you the story first. Let's forward load it. We're going to talk about language, and we're going to talk about you in language, and we're going to talk about the languages you speak. The question ultimately is, are we seeing a decline in languages? There was an article not so long ago in The National, alarm bells over future of Arabic language. You go to France. Big concerns over the decline of French. How many people speak Welsh these days? How many people speak the other languages of where they're from? Question is the English language taking over the globe? And if the process of more and more people speaking English, I mean, let's call what it is what it is. There is a preponderance of English being used everywhere. Is this having an effect on you? Are you continuing to learn new languages, continuing to learn the language where you're from, continuing to learn the languages, maybe your mother tongue, or is it slowly slipping away? Are we seeing language creep in a sense? As this article says from The National, alarm bells over the future of Arabic language, which is a very interesting one. I'm curious, Arabic speakers out there, are your kids learning Arabic? Have you kept up your Arabic language skills, or is it in decline? If you're from a bilingual country like myself, from Canada, do you speak French? Have your kids learned French? Are you passing that on? If I've got a great friend whose wife speaks a foreign language, much like my wife. I was comparing notes the other day and said, so do your sons speak the language? Burmese, do they speak the language? No. My boys, do they speak French? Only what they learned in school, not what they could have learned if we'd stayed in Canada. And what happened is one of those things is we moved away from the country 15 years ago. The boys have grown up. If we'd stayed in the country, they would have gone to French school. We'd planned it all out. My wife was going to speak French to the boys. I was going to speak English, and we would have two bilingual children. Moved to the Emirates, didn't quite work out as planned, and we speak English in our house. And that language in our family is really on the decline, which becomes interesting. My own personal story, as a young boy growing up, we used to spend enormous amounts of time in Saskatchewan, middle of Canada, in Saskatoon. My grandparents, both Ukrainian speakers, both second-generation Ukrainians, don't speak a word of Ukrainian, yet we used to spend months on end there, and we just never took the language, never picked up the language. We spoke English all the time. We want to talk to you about language. Should we be concerned? There are websites out there. The UN has got the National Geographic Disappearing Languages Project is alive and well. There's the endangeredlanguageproject.com, and again, asking the questions, are languages dying out? Are those traditional languages of our countries that we come from, are they disappearing as they become a meld of other languages, or outright just become a language people aren't using? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you think about that. 04-423-1010 is the phone number. 4001 is the SMS number. And, of course, you can get involved through Nightline DXB on Twitter, if you'd like to do that. We're also up on Periscope right now. If you've got the app, you can go get it in the App Store for your Apple products and download Periscope, look for us, and you can actually see us in the studio, and you can join in the conversation that way as well. We're talking about language. That's where we're going this evening. And are we doing enough to sustain languages, to sustain those languages that we might have grown up listening to, might have grown up hearing, but do we speak them today? And the first bit out of this article in the National, by the end of this century, more than half of the world's 7,000 languages could have vanished, according to the National Geographic Disappearing Languages Project. Could Arabic be one of them? With about 400 million speakers and 1 billion Muslims globally, we have at least some basic knowledge of the language. Such a prospect of the Arabic language disappearing seems on the face of it to be absurd. But others are saying, oh no, hold on a second. There's all sorts of questions about how Arabic is also being sustained. Let's head to the phone lines, see who's joining us. Good evening, welcome to Nightline.
Hi, good evening.
It's great of you to join us. You're the first caller of the evening. Welcome.
That's lovely. Actually, I enjoyed listening to your conversation.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's a topic very close to my heart as well.
So tell me your story. Which language are we talking about?
Okay, so I am British, of Iraqi roots,
okay,
of Iraqi origin. So Arabic is the mother tongue. Luckily for me, I left Iraq as a 9-year-old, so I speak Arabic fluently. However, my grammar, Arabic is already a very difficult language to grasp, and the grammar is very difficult, and you have to practice it, and it's a really tough one. Both my kids were born in the UK. However, Dubai has been home for them for the past 7 years, and they're 9 and 11. And I can pretty much say we struggle, although we are in an Arabic country, so you'd think Arabic would definitely be, an easy one. But when you look around you, you see that the media is all English. The school that we go to is English. So Arabic, as a language, we talk Arabic at home, and I'm very strict about that.
Do you make those rules that at home it's an Arabic language? We speak Arabic at home, and we don't speak in English?
You know what? The thing is, when I converse with my husband, half of my conversation ends up being, without noticing, half Arabic, half English, which is very interesting. So it turns into I don't know what you call it, Arabish, if you like.
Yeah.
But I really try with the kids, and at times I fail miserably, but most of the time, I manage. But it really upsets me because they're missing out on music if they don't understand what's going on. They miss out on an entire culture. And because we live far away from family, so again, whenever we get the chance, my parents get to, speak to them only in Arabic on purpose, and, there is that interference. But unfortunately, it's minimal because we are not surrounded by family. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think overall you find a lot of Arabs living here probably struggle. And like you said, your wife and yourself, you lost out on a French language, beautiful language for your kids.
Well,
one has to be very focused.
Yes.
And to pass this on to your kids because it's such a shame.
I think you've hit that nail right on the head. Is you have to really be. I think the focus, the other word, and I think you and your husband have done this. You've been very disciplined in making sure that the Arabic language is passed on to the kids, so that they're exposed to it, that they use it, and I guess the fact that they and yourselves that you'll go English, Arabic, and intersperse it in a sentence to a purist that would probably be they're cringing, but you're using the languages interchangeably, which at least you're using the languages.
That's true. I tell you, on the plus side, though, I think, we now have a lot more resources in life. So maybe they can do courses later on in the summer. Once you get a bit of foundation, but again, the word is honestly being a bit disciplined yourself. Because, again, for me, it will be such a loss to actually, if they lose a language, they lose their identity as Iraqis. And that's so important for me as well, to have that connection to a country that is their roots. So, but it's just really, it takes a lot of discipline. And I tell you, even going back to your kids, I tell you, don't give up. It's never too late.
There we go. Don't give up, never too late. I've got one more question. I'm curious. The Arabic that your children are speaking, do they have an Iraqi dialect to it, or has that in a sense vanished?
See, the thing is with Arabic, I don't know if you have any experience with if you hear different sounds coming up, so you have different accents all around. Emirati is different from Saudi, from Iraqi, Kuwaiti. But, so yes, very much the Iraqi accent, but then sometimes some words sound really funny because you think, that does not at all sound Iraqi. And then sometimes they surprise you because they come up with words. And I think, where did they get that word from? So obviously I use it, and I'm not aware.
Okay.
And they use these tough words sometimes, so it's interesting.
Oh, that's great. You should be very proud, at least, that this is working through, and that you're persevering to make it work, and that your children are going to take something away when they're older to realize what you've done. They're going to look at you, and they're going to be very, very thankful. And I think that's
thank you.
That's the greatest thing.
I hope so. I hope I continue, and good luck to you. I really enjoyed listening to this show.
Hey, well, thank you very much for calling in, and I really appreciate taking the time. Have a great night.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
You too. Take care. Bye.
We're talking about language, and we're talking about what you're doing to sustain those languages that maybe you grew up in a household where they were speaking Spanish or Portuguese, and through the development of lives, you're speaking English now, or you're speaking another language. Has those original languages of your heritage, are they disappearing from your vocabulary, from your voice? Are you moving towards a single language these days? And maybe that's the English language or another one. Are you keeping up these other languages of your cultures? And as we just heard from our caller, language is culture. Language is that doorway into the life of other places. And there are things about other languages that just enhance the communication process and enhance our storytelling and enhance our sharing. What are you doing to sustain multiple languages or in your own life? Or even some would say, what are you doing to help keep languages alive? Here's a great text that's come through. I'd love to hear from you as well. It says, I'm Russian. I've been speaking French since I was 7, and I speak English, and I learned Italian for a year, and Swedish for beginners. And this coming from Elisa. So, this is someone who's taken the whole language issue and gone in the dramatically different direction, doing their best to learn other languages. Elisa's come back to say, how many languages is too much to know? I took to learning New Testament Greek on my own as well. So, and Elisa goes on to say that I grew up in Dubai, so I have a basic knowledge of Arabic as well. Languages need to be celebrated and preserved, is what Elisa is saying. And I think that's exactly the point. But and she goes on to say, excuse me, she goes on to say that there are German schools here, French schools, Swedish schools, Japanese schools, etc. If we really want to learn these languages, we can, and we need to celebrate them, and we need to keep them going. And some of them are very hard. Learning Arabic or learning Chinese or Mandarin or learning Japanese, it can be a real challenge. And as you can hear and see from just around the country, there are many people who are making that effort to keep the languages alive, to keep sharing. Now, where do you come in, though, when we start talking about languages and we start talking about the language that's getting, I'm going to use the word corrupted. Corrupted as in new words are creating, that the anglicized versions of Arabic, or the mixing and matching of words in French, or words that are used in German that no longer are pure. They're a hybrid of multiple languages. Is that an okay thing? At least the language is still alive and we can accept that, or is that something that maybe we need to be spending a little bit more time doing? And I hear this often in my own classes. You know that by day I'm a university professor at Zayed University, so I'm in a classroom with Arabic-speaking students on a daily basis, and I will hear my students speaking in Arabic, and then they'll pepper their conversations with words that are from other languages, often English, and other languages, which becomes very interesting as you're listening to it. Is that something, whatever language you're speaking, and when you start anglicizing words or changing the words with other languages, is that something that we should be wary about? Is that something we should be concerned about? Where do we stop that? Or, languages are languages are languages. They will continue to be here hundreds of years from now. Things are okay. We don't really need to be worrying. We want to hear from you. What do you think? Do we need to do more to protect our languages, to sustain them, to keep them alive? Or, what happens, and we'll see. That's what we're talking about tonight on Nightline. It's the question period, and we'd love to hear from you.
Nightline.
We are talking about language. We're talking about you. We're talking about what you're doing to sustain those languages that are part of your family, part of your culture, part of your heritage. Are you doing anything? Or have you, like so many people, seen those languages that you grew up around sort of fall away from your sphere? Now, I've got a great example of this, and I shared this earlier. My grandparents on my father's side were both Ukrainian first language speakers. In fact, my grandfather didn't write English, and he spoke English, easily. He watched English things, but far more comfortable speaking Ukrainian. And my brother and I would spend summers and holiday seasons. We'd fly out to the middle of Canada and spend this time with our grandparents. Years we used to spend doing this, and as young boys, neither of us speak Ukrainian. Neither of us learned the language, and it would have been today I regret that I don't know any Ukrainian, and it's one of those things that nags in the back of my mind. Endangered Languages is the title of a UNESCO project, and they suggest it is estimated that if nothing is done, half of the 6,000 plus languages spoken today will disappear by the end of this century. If nothing is done to sustain the languages we're speaking, 6,000 or so generally around the world now, half of them will disappear by the end of this century. With the disappearance of unwritten and undocumented languages, humanity would lose nothing, would lose not only a cultural wealth, it would lose a lot is what I'm saying, but also we lose important ancestral knowledge. We lose things about our families, things that are embedded in particular indigenous languages. As those languages disappear, so do so many elements of our lives. Now, the issue is it inevitable that languages are going to disappear? Is it inevitable that they have to disappear? Not necessarily. And it isn't something that is not reversible. As our first caller said, James, it's never too late for me to teach my sons French, Canada's second official language. It's never too late. I picked up the French language well on in life, partially out of necessity and partially out of foolhardiness, I suppose. I was never a bilingual Canadian. I wouldn't say I'm a bilingual Canadian now, but ended up doing graduate studies in French language. So in order to do the studies at the Université de Montréal, I had to learn French. So it was sort of and I've got to say, from my own experience, having the dual languages, being able to read in French, being able to process academic readings, my own studies became far richer because in this program there were times that I would be sharing with French language only speakers, and we would be sharing materials from both of our different spheres of study, and I would be helping some of my French language only speakers with English documents, and likewise they would help me with French documents, making our work much better. And that's in a microcosm. So now imagine in a whole society if we sustain those languages. So it's not inevitable that languages are going to disappear, but we've got to do something about it. And what I want to know from you is, are you doing anything about it in your life? Or do you have a regret? Has a language slipped through your hands? A language that maybe was part of the communities that you grew up in. I hear a lot of people talk about that, Welsh speakers who are saddened that their own kids and their own family haven't continued to learn the language that was spoken by family members and spoken in the villages that they lived. And a lot of folks lament that. I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to get your two fills on this topic. Are you doing enough? Are you doing anything? Or is this something that is just passing you by? Text has come through and says, maintain your mother tongue language, but love the idea of world speaks a common language. It helps globalization. And this is the problem, isn't it? We've got this global context. You travel anywhere in the world, and for the most part, you're going to come across English language speakers, and you can communicate with them. So it's great, or some of the romantic languages, Spanish or French. It's great that is the case. And as a tourist, as a global citizen, nothing makes me feel better than to know that there are people who can understand me, and I don't necessarily have to learn their languages. But on the other hand, the steamrolling over of languages by English is very troubling, and the number of languages that are being corrupted by English, in that words that are completely anglicized creeping into the lexicon of other languages, Arabic being a great example. This is something that troubles me. And it troubles me when I sit with Arabic speakers and we talk about their language, and some Arabic speakers I've met say, I really don't do a lot of work in Arabic, or I really don't speak Arabic a lot. And it's not something that I'm very comfortable doing. And I thought, really? This is a language you grew up with. What's going on in there? And I think that is a little saddening. But is that part of the whole global citizen thing, the homogeneity of the world, at least in language terms, that English is getting in there and messing things up? Maintain your mother tongue is the message that I just read. But love the idea that we speak a common language. It helps globalization. Another one that's come in, it says, this is a topic that is really close to my heart. I think in English and translate into what should be my mother tongue, Gujarati. Now, this is very interesting, isn't it? But my brother, who is just 3 years younger, speaks even less Gujarati than I do. So I've started to... Hold on a second here. I suspect the rest of the messages started to teach my brother more Gujarati. I'd love to hear from you if you're in that situation. Do you still speak the language? Do you still speak your mother tongue? Or is it slowly disappearing? As this texter has said, their mother tongue being Gujarati, and they don't speak as much. They think in English and translate into what should be my mother tongue. Are you one of those people? Are you thinking in English and then translating back into the language of your culture and your heritage? How are you maintaining that language? Are you vigilant about it? Are you? I know other people who are very much, when we're at home, we only speak, maybe it's Arabic, and I know many people who that is the modus operandi of their lives. When they're not in the home, they speak the languages that are going to work for them in that context, whether it be English or Arabic or some combination of other languages as well. But when they're in home, they only speak Arabic. And I know some folks who do the same thing with Chinese, Mandarin. They only speak Mandarin when they're at home. And that's just the rule. You get out of the car, you go through the gate, and it's a Mandarin household. What are you doing to maintain those languages of your culture and your heritage? Or are you saddened that the languages of your past, of your family, of where you're from, have slowly slipped away from you? They've eluded you. And if you're in that case, are you doing anything about it? Are you making any changes? We'd love to hear from you. It's easy to get in touch with us. You can do it via Twitter, Nightline DXB. You can do it via the SMS line 4001, or you can call 04-423-1010. Love to hear what you're doing about it. Love to hear how you're celebrating your culture and heritage via language. And if you want to get involved and share the story, even better. This is the call-in show on Nightline. We're talking about language. What are you doing to preserve it? Is it slipping away? Are you concerned? Is this something you don't even think about until you sit back and think, parents used to speak a language. My grandparents used to speak a language. Where I live, they were speaking a language, and I don't speak that language. It's almost like you lose a piece of your heart. You lose a piece of your culture. Is language important to you, or something you haven't given a lot of thought to? And there are people all over the world. UNESCO is talking about this, suggesting that over in the next century we could lose half of the languages on the planet. I don't think that's such a good thing. But let's see what you think. Let's head back to the phone lines. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Thanks for holding.
Hey, no problem at all. It's a pleasure, Doctor.
So where do you come in on the language issue and the idea that they're disappearing, and we're kind of at fault for that?
Actually, no, I was listening to you. I was listening to your show while I was driving now, and I heard the first call. I think she made a very interesting point. I was thinking about calling at that point, but I said I can't possibly top this because she's hit the topic on the nail of the head, because on the head of the nail, sorry, but because she addresses Arabic and then she speaks from a Western point of view. But then you said something very interesting, because somebody texted in and said, the globalization aspect is so important that you need to have English. And then you said, well, it's interesting because it's such a fine line, isn't it? It's a paradoxical scenario, because just to share a small experience, when I'd gone to Turkey, I felt pretty lost, because you might have all your GPSs and you might have all the technology that could help you around, but if you don't have a common platform, then that's a language, you could be in a bit of a trouble. Because I tried to get around there and I tried to ask people where stuff was, and they couldn't understand English. I loved the place, I loved the people, they were really nice, but English isn't an easy language for all of the people, for example, the vendors on the road, etc., to speak. Really nice place, really nice culture and all that, but I found myself lost a couple of times, even though I had a GPS in front of me.
Wow.
So what English could do is it could globalize the situation where, for example, if you go to the States or you go to Canada, where you come in, everything could be really hunky-dory, because you can ask people around, and it's really simple to get across. I don't think it's that much of a problem when I went to Turkey and I realized, wow, I should have learned at least a few words before I came here.
Yeah.
But coming from Goa, that's from where I come, I used to speak a lot of Portuguese with the old-timers.
Do you speak any Portuguese now? Do you still speak the language?
That's interesting, because when my grandmom passed away, I was pretty young, and then the conversations were not that much. The older people sadly passed on, and then you don't really speak that much of Portuguese. So interestingly, what I did was in the 7th grade, I took French. I said, let me broaden my horizon and let me learn French. So I did 5 years of French. That's 3 years in high school and 2 years in O-level. And I could speak fluent French at that point of time. 10 years down the line, my French is dodgy. I can understand a bit, but it's dodgy. And if I think about it, I don't know Portuguese that well, and I don't know French that well, and that's put me in a bit of a conundrum, because had I stuck with Portuguese, had I chosen Portuguese in high school, I think I'd have perfected that language and I'd have stuck to it. And I've been really happy, because I'll be carrying a bit of my heritage, a bit of my legacy of my family on and on with my future generations.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because when you get out of the environment, so when you left Goa and you get out of the environment, you don't have the use of that language, and when you find yourself then in a situation where you need to use those languages, they don't necessarily stick with you. But and the anglicizing of the world, in a sense, is kind of interesting, because even here in Dubai, as much as there's so much English, you can find yourself in a very interesting situation. I had one several days ago where I needed to talk to a traffic policeman. So I called the number to talk to the traffic policeman. It took 4 people before they got me someone was put to me who spoke in English. And I was rather embarrassed, because my Arabic is terrible. It is halting. I've been here 15 years, and all the time that I spend trying to learn this language, it's little things that mess it all up with the throat sounds and things. And so I don't have any of that language, and it makes it, as you said, difficult to communicate.
Absolutely. But I think if you say Arabic, I mean, it's interesting, because I think Arabic is one of the most spoken languages in the world, along with English and French. I think it's even more so than French, because what I always thought was Arabic is a rung or two below French in the ladder of languages spoken around the world. So in my opinion, and having worked with so many different nationalities in the job that I find myself in, I think Arabic's pretty safe for now. We need to worry about, I'm really going to go home and look at this list, the UN list that you're mentioning. It's really interesting to see which of these exotic languages are on their way on the decline. But in my opinion, and that just could be my opinion, I think Arabic is safe for now because all the people who I know from the Arab world that I work with, whether it be from Jordan or Egypt or even Morocco, speak Arabic, and they hold on pretty tight to Arabic. And I think, kudos to the lady who called in first, who's making it a point to hold on to her Iraqi roots. I think that should be done more and more. I feel I should have held on to my Portuguese roots as well, continued speaking Portuguese a bit more with my mother. But that just never happened. And, it's never too late to learn French, as she said. So I think the kids can still pick it up if they're still below 10, 12, 15. So you can still pick it up.
Hey, thank you very much for taking the time to call in. I really appreciate it. And I'll post up all the links. But if you go online, you can find the UNESCO. If you look up endangered languages, there's a couple sites that have some really good interactive maps.
I'm going to do that.
Cool. Thank you very much. Have a great one. Bye.
You too. Cheers. Cheers, man. Bye.
We're talking about language. We're talking about what you're doing to sustain those languages from your cultures, whether that be Arabic. Are you making sure that your kids speak Arabic at home if you're an Arabic language speaker? If it's Burmese, if it's Mandarin, if it's Japanese, if it's Portuguese, the languages of your culture, the languages of where you're from, are you keeping them up? Or you've moved, you've grown up, grandparents who spoke the languages have passed on, you're no longer in those environments, have those languages that were part of your culture begun to disappear? Are they waning? And do you feel sad about that? Does it concern you? Are you thinking, I need to do something? Or what can you do? It's too late, too little, not enough time? Not enough willpower? How are you doing with languages? Is it an issue to you to maintain those languages that are of your background, of your culture, from wherever you're from on this earth? Are you sustaining those languages while you have moved to a part of the world where maybe you can get by with just speaking English and you don't have to have other languages under your belt? It becomes a task. It's something. Are you up for the task? Are you up for the effort? Let's head to line 6. We're talking languages and what you're doing to help sustain them where you are. Let's head to line 2 and see who's joining us. We're talking languages. Good evening. Welcome to Nightline. Hello. Welcome to the program. And we've lost that caller as well. Let's head to the SMS line. If you want to get involved in the program, by all means, 044231010 is the phone number. Remember, you need to turn off your radio. I'm looking here. I've got a bit of a delay here on my board. It's about 8 seconds. So you never know. You got to turn off your radio when you talk to me, or you live in a history moment. I'd like to hear from you. If you're someone who is sustaining those languages of your culture right here, right now in your household, if you are making sure, if you're an Arabic language speaker, that Arabic is spoken, maybe it's Mandarin, maybe it's Japanese, maybe it's Greek, maybe it's Portuguese, whatever those languages are you doing your part to sustain them? Or are you lamenting now, as we talk about this, the languages of your culture, of your past, of your heritage that you've let slip away? And haven't done enough to sustain them. And when you let the languages slip away, you let the stories, you let all of the pieces of that part of you go as well. And that's a sad side of things. A text that's come through that says, "Hi James, as you may or may not know, back home in Canada, the government will offer for free or at least subsidize new immigrants English lessons so they can better immerse themselves into the Canadian culture and in some cases French for Quebecers. Do you feel that the UAE government should consider offering free Arabic lessons for expats here, as obviously the UAE does not have immigrants in order to preserve the Arabic culture? So should the UAE offer free Arabic language lessons to help preserve the Arabic culture? I, for one, would immediately sign up, as the costs for lessons in Dubai currently are completely astronomical." That is a great idea, a great way to help sustain a language and to help promote a love of the language is in a sense to offer language and culture courses to expatriates subsidized or for free, and say, hey, come on and join us. What a great idea. I'm 100% behind that. I think it's a great idea. Another text that's come through says, hello, I'm Iraqi with American origins living in the UAE, and I've learned English and French during my high school. I believe that each language has its own culture, and you should feel it as in each has its own phrases and terms, which reflects the heritage where those languages are home. Therefore, language should be preserved. Are we doing enough? What are you doing to help preserve the languages where you're from? So, Maitri, I hope I've pronounced that right. Maitri says, so I've started recording videos of my grandfather narrating stories in Gujarati and audio notes of my mother's recipes. What a great thing. So an oral history project, essentially, keeping these audio notes of one's grandfather, speaking the language where you're from, so you're sustaining it so you can go back and keep the language alive for yourself, but also have that language in the context of it, your piece of heritage and culture alive. What a great idea, recording the language and doing it that way. Another one that's come through, in South Africa there are 9 official languages. One of them is called Afrikaans, a dialect of Dutch, and as one of the world's youngest languages, it pretty much is a dying language, sad but a reality. This is I did meet some folks from South Africa not so long ago, and I said to them, do you speak Afrikaans? And they said, no, never learned the language. And essentially they didn't speak any of the other 9 official languages from South Africa. They only spoke English. And I thought, that's interesting. How are you dealing with the languages? If you're from South Africa, do you speak any of the official languages, Afrikaans or others? What are you doing to sustain the languages or just language of your heritage in your household? Are you doing anything? Are you doing like Maitri with Gujarati, taking audio notes and videos of parents, grandfather and mother with recipes, grandfather telling stories, but in mother tongue? Are you doing that? I'd love to hear how you're trying to sustain language. Or are you, on the other side, are you lamenting the loss of languages? Are you lamenting that you no longer speak French or Portuguese or Italian in your household anymore, that you never picked up the language, that you let it slip by? Love to hear how you're dealing with that. We're talking about languages. Are they endangered? The United Nations, UNESCO, is saying that in the next century, half of the 6,000 languages on the planet could disappear. Is that something that worries you? We are talking about language this evening. We're talking about the languages we speak. All the phone lines are lit up. I've got them all lined. If I haven't gotten to you and it's still ringing, as soon as you hear my next caller sign off, give a call through and we'll get you on the line as well. We want to hear what you're doing to sustain the languages of your culture, or has it disappeared? Are they slowly slipping away from you, and are you lamenting that? Let's head to the phone line, see who's joining us. Good evening. Welcome to Nightline. Thanks for holding.
Thank you so much. It's a great discussion going on. I just wanted to share my experience because you were talking about the Arabic language earlier on.
Yes.
So, personally myself, I'm from Pakistan, but interestingly enough, I sort of got involved with Arabic, purely to sort of study, let's say, from a religion point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up buying quite a few books because I wanted to learn the language the direct way. So I just immersed myself in Arabic. But getting to the point, the interesting thing you're talking about in terms of losing the languages is I find myself in a situation where in the Arab world, you find there's very few people today who actually talk the pure Arabic anymore.
Mm.
There's a lot of different accents and colloquials, which is great. But funny enough, I've been in situations where, although I'm not a native Arabic speaker, but I somehow come across probably knowing the more pure Arabic than a lot of other people.
That's interesting. That's very interesting, isn't it? And from the fact that you've maybe been learning more classical Arabic than folks who've been learning with so many different dialects and so much anglicization or other languages coming into the pool. That's a really interesting observation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been quite surprising for me as well.
What do you, just out of curiosity before I let you go, what do your Arabic language speaking friends think of the fact that you've got a dialect, a version of Arabic that in many cases seems very clean?
It's actually quite hilarious because I mean, if you actually talk the classic Arabic, I mean, most Arabs will probably laugh with you. But then when you get into some, serious sort of conversations on some academic subjects, then, that's when they don't feel too great about that. So, yeah, it's a very interesting scenario.
Well, hats off to you for putting in the effort and picking up that language and continuing to run with it, because there are so many distractions that sometimes we let languages slip through our fingers, and you've done something that's interesting. So congratulations on that.
Cool. Thanks for the great discussion.
Hey, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
This is Nightline. We're talking about languages. I want to just get through a couple of texts first, and then we'll get up to the next caller on the line here. The one thing I dislike about English, this text says, is that I tend to become lazy about learning new languages. It says, my mother is Welsh and my father is German, and I was born in South Africa. When my mother was angry at me as a child, I was told off in Welsh, but we spoke English at home. This coming from B. Mary T has come back, says, I've downloaded this app called Duolingo to brush up my French that I learned in school a long time ago. So I've started recording videos, and this is going back again, talking about Gujarati, the Gujarati language, and the text has come through again saying that, and this is Maitri, again saying that I've started recording videos of my grandfather narrating stories, anecdotes, and idioms and proverbs in Gujarati, and audio notes of my mother's recipe, so I remember what the different ingredients are called. And we have this person, I'm sure I'm messing up this name terribly, but it's Maitri, says we have a WhatsApp group of cousins of various ages, and I enjoy being part of it simply because sometimes they share jokes in our mother tongue, Gujarati, and I actually learn a new word or two through this whole process. Noura's come through and says, James, read the Arabic classes. There are currently free classes, but in the context of religious studies. So they do offer such classes. Well, that can't be a bad thing either. So if you're looking for Arabic language classes, you can get them, and they are billed as religious studies courses. So a great way to learn more about Islam as well. So there we go. Maitri has come back, says, a friend had told me once that there is a committee in France that works to update the language. I wish every language had a dedicated committee of members that added new words as they needed into those languages as the need arised. And another message from Maitri saying, Urdu is another language that's losing speakers. It is such a poetic language, but youngsters today find it old-fashioned and boring and cumbersome. He goes on to say, that's rather sad, and I think music could be one of the ways of getting the younger generation on board. There we go. And Neo says Afrikaans is one of the 11 official languages in South Africa, and there are 9 provinces. Okay, sorry, I was just responding to the text. 11 official languages, 9 provinces. That's amazing. Neo, how many of the official languages do you speak? I'm just curious. I'd love to hear from you. Glenn has come through and said, unfortunately, some of the current generations that think, Glenn says, unfortunately, some of the current generations think that learning or talking in native languages is not so cool. Parents start speaking to their kids in English from the cradle, and those mother tongue languages disappear. I added in the last parts. We've got enough time to take another phone call, so let's head back to the phone lines. Line 1, we're talking about languages. If you've got your radio on, please turn it down because there is a bit of a delay. We're talking about languages. What are you doing to help keep those languages alive in your family and your culture, or are you lamenting that languages have slipped through your fingers? Good evening. Welcome to Nightline.
Good evening. Hi.
It's great to have you with us. Where do you come down on the language issue? Are you working to sustain languages in your culture, or have some of those languages fallen away from you?
While a lot of languages are slipping away, I feel that there's always that we do that we don't lose them. And I was talking to a friend who is from France, and she told me that there's a committee in France that works to add words to the language every year. And I just thought that was fascinating, because the reason why some of the Indian languages that I know are dying out is because there's no word for computer, or there's no word for internet in that language, Yeah. I mean, it's not keeping up with the times. So I just wish there was like a dedicated group of people that worked to update language and add new words to it, or invent new words if need be. so that language can keep up with its people, and maybe we won't give in to anglicizing everything just because it's easier.
That's a great idea. And let's hope that as we reflect on languages and as nations and cultures reflect on language and how to sustain it, maybe there needs to be some updating every now and then to make it work and to keep everyone excited that the language actually functions with the changing world we live in. Yeah, maybe do you think it's that simple? It might be though. I mean, that's the crazy thing, isn't it?
It's an exercise that, as you rightly said, that nations need to undertake very consciously. It's not something that a small group of individuals can achieve.
Yeah.
For anything, I mean, I think there needs to be legislation. Like in India, in certain states, if you go there, it's compulsory that the student must learn the language of the in school, even if you're not from that particular state. And while a lot of students find it harrowing to do that, I just think it's a good way to introduce them at least to the language, even if they don't continue speaking it,
Yeah, very good. Hey, thank you very much for joining us. Sorry I got to let you go, but the clock's running out on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks so much. Great talk. Bye.
We were talking about language. I got one last text from Noordine. Says, I would advise everyone to not neglect their mother tongue. When I was a teenager in France, I didn't know what to learn Arabic, and I didn't want to learn Arabic, and my mother didn't want to make any effort either to teach me. We thought it would I wouldn't need it. God ended sending me here in the Middle East, and I needed to learn it from scratch. So Noordine says, take the time to learn your mother tongue. We've been talking about language on Nightline, on the call-in show. I appreciate everyone who got involved. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for all the SMSs. NightlineDXB.blogspot.ae is where you'll find all the notes tomorrow, so you can see the notes, see some of the texts, and listen to the show again if you're so inclined. DubaiI1038.com/Nightline is also where you can find it all. That was the Nightline call-in show from 2015 on Nightline Dubai Eye. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks for sticking around to the very end. Hey, you liked what you heard? Please share, please like, please comment, please get involved. Drop me a line. Love to talk with you. Heck, maybe we can even get you on the podcast. Thank you very much for taking the time. We'll talk to you really soon. My name's James Pikeway. So long for now.